Good afternoon, all. I think it is a pleasant
Hi.
honor to meet such an eminent personalities. We are here to discuss on future of aviation careers, mainly to address the student community being in this pandemic, to motivate and to encourage them about the opportunities in the future which are yet to come. We have the eminent personalities, uh, Mr. Dr. Lalit Gupta, sir, former Joint Director, DGCA, and also the Vice President of AESI, Mr. Amit Patak, General Manager and Site Engineer, UTC Aerospace, Pratt& and Whitney, and Mr. Suresh Kumar Singh, Director Engineering, DGCA retired and Honorary Treasurer of AESI. And another panelist is our Captain Kuldip Singh Bharadwaj, sir, Chief Flight Instructor, Orient Flight Aviation Academy, Mysore. With this small note, the Hindustan Group of Institutions, it's a leading pioneer academic institutions serving the country for more than 50 plus years. We have all courses to name in aviation industry, starting from AME, Aircraft Maintenance Engineering, to bachelor's, master's, PhD programs in aeronautical and aerospace engineering. We also have special courses like aviation management, and we also have the pilot courses running at OFAA, offering CPL and PPL. We also have civil aviation courses. We also thankful in this lecture to Aeronautical Society of India and the Chennai branch, led by our CEO and the chairman of Chennai branch, Dr. Anand Jacob Burgess, for motivating us. Aeronautical Society of India is the major curve which connects the dots of industry with the academy. We are grateful to them for helping us in this lecture of finding personalities to discuss with students. I request now Dr. Ashokan, Head of Department of School of Aeronautical Sciences, to give a formal welcome address. Sir, please.
Good afternoon to all of you. I think on behalf of Hindustan Group of Institution and Aeronautical Society of India Chennai branch, it's my pleasure to welcome you all in this tight situation of the COVID-19. We know that the world and the India is going in the pandemic situations, and the civil operation is almost, it is falling like a rock. You can see that the jet travels in terms of 100, it is falling to 5,000 or low, and slowly picking up in the situations. We also, in terms of travel, there is an opportunity for private jets also in case of the executive class who are offered to travel. If they have the money comparing to executive travel, they can take up the private jet lanes also. I think today we have a very eminent speakers who can contribute on this area, who had a vast experience like Dr. Lalit Gupta, who is former Joint Director General DGCA, Vice President ASI, and also advisor to Airbus. We welcome you, sir. Welcome Mr. Amit Patak, General Manager, Site Leader and UTC Aerospace. I think he has, in terms of manufacturing, to give. And Mr. A.K. Singh is Director Engineering of DGCA and Treasurer ASA. Also is in the training field. Is our alumni. We welcome you, sir, for this process so that whatever your experience, we get the contribution to all the members who are participating. I also welcome Captain Kuldip Singh Bharadwaj, who is having experience in both civil as well as in the Indian Air Force with vast experience in terms of pilot training and flying. So we welcome you all, sir. I think now the moderator can take and formally invite the speakers, Dr. Lalit Gupta sir, to start the proceedings.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful welcome address. Being a moderator, the agenda of the session is planned such that the panelists will speak for 10 to 15 minutes, one by one, in this same order. Dr. Lalit Gupta sir, Amit Patak sir, and Suresh Kumar Singh sir, and Captain Kuldip Singh Bharadwaj sir. We'll go one by one. Once after the panelists have given their speech, we will go for questions by students. We have students from various colleges joined with us. I hope they can ask their questions in question and answer section. Please avoid asking questions in chat session. So once you have posted the question, your question will be answered in between the speech or maybe at the later sessions also. We'll keep you posted. In case if you find any technical glitch with the Zoom app, The same live telecast is being done in the official KCG College of Technology page. You can connect us through the Facebook link also. Thank you. That's all. My role to introduce the first panelist, Dr. Lalit Gupta sir. He is the former Joint Director DGCA and also an advisor to Airbus and Vice President of AES. Mr. Lalit Gupta sir has more than 35 years of experience in various areas of aviation, design, development of aircraft engineering, aircraft transport, flight safety, flight operations, air navigations, aviation environment, etc. During his tenure, he has worked on various committees of Ministry of Civil Aviation, Ministry of DONER and DGCA on policy formation to ensure safety. He is also a member of various accrediting committees. Um, he is such a dynamic person. I got an opportunity to meet him recently at the annual general body meeting, which has happened in Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science in February. Thank you for being with us, sir. You can carry on with the session, sir. Thank you. Sir, please unmute yourself, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself, sir. In the
Not
left
been
side.
unmuted.
Yes, sir. In the left side corner, there is a mute. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Anand Jacob Varghese, Chairman, Chennai Branch Aero Society of India, for inviting me on this webinar, which is very focused on future career in aviation. As Dr. Ashokan has told, that civil aviation world over, it is grappling for survival during this ongoing pandemic, with countries locking their borders and the virtual grounding of both domestic and international operations. Majority of the airlines, they do not have really the cash flow, and the passenger growth at this stage is negative, and it is going to remain negative maybe in the next quarter also. And we have to keep one thing in mind, that survivability of many sectors like tourism, trade, hospitality, they are very much closely linked with civil aviation. So there is really a need that we should take up as quickly as we can. I am coming later on that aspect also. But going back to the history of the variation, what is happening is, what we have witnessed is that civil aviation sector per se in India, it has witnessed a cyclic growth with a time period of between 10 to 11 years. If we go back in 90s, when the economic reforms took place and which led to the repeal of Air Corporations Act and entry of private airlines, we had many private airlines in 1990s. However, by 1997, most of the private carriers, they packed on due to the stiff competition, which led to very meager growth at that time. The sector again picked up, but in 2008, exactly after 11 years, we had economic slowdown world over. It again picked up after we recovered from the economic slowdown. We again picked up, and in 2019, again India registered a negative growth, owing to the closure of one of the best airlines, private airlines, that is Jet Airways, and followed by the ongoing pandemic. Now we are about to recommence the operations day after tomorrow, and I was having the discussion with a few of my airline colleagues. They were still struggling with the airport operators as well as with the DGCA for approval of their flight schedule. Although the bookings are open, they are not sure the flights which the passengers are booking, whether they will be flying at that time or there will be a variation in the timing. And although we are recommencing the operations, domestic operation, but it is very unlikely that we have sustainable traffic in the Q2 of 2021, because the Demand is going to be low due to the ensuing monsoon, which is around the corner. Then fragile economic conditions, and passengers, they will also fear to travel due to the safety. However, keeping in view the past trend, that cyclic trend which I have discussed with you, I am very much sure that traffic will pick up gradually and we will again bounce back, as you all know that India has a great potential for tourism. I think I am audible to everybody.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. Audible and clear, sir.
Yeah. At this juncture, all aviation related entities will be looking at cost cutting measures, which is very important for their sustainment. In the short and medium term, the entire focus, which I personally feel, will be on the sustainable aviation. Although at this juncture, you must have seen that ATF is close to 25 rupees per kg. Per kg. However, it is likely to move up in the near future as the demand goes up. And when we talk about the sustainable aviation, I am talking about the technology, I am talking about the operational improvements, I am talking about the sustainable aviation fuels. On technology front, we have already seen improvement in the airframe a decade back. Like for example, the 787 Dreamliner, wherein extensive use of advanced composites has taken place, not only on the flight control surfaces, but on the fuselage also. We have already seen the engine improvements quite recently with the launch of A320 Neos, which are equipped with one option is geared turbofan. It is a beautiful engine, I must say, with a fuel efficiency, fuel saving of 15 to 18%. However, there have been a lot of uproar of the engine failures, but one has to keep it in mind that what social media is talking, that double engine failure, it is extremely improbable in the technical definition of aviation. Extremely improbable. When I say it is 10 raised to power, probability of failure of both the engine is 10 raised to power minus 9 per flight hour. And the manufacturer does prove it during the type certification phase during the analysis, during ground test, during the flight test, and that's how they reach at this figure. However, with the modifications, the engine is now quite stable, the improved engine, and I'm but for sure that it will be a mainstay for the future A320 products, which is coming into that. In this again, now the time will be coming towards the improvement in the airframe, wherein the work is already going on the smart structure, so that we do not have the ailerons and flaps. We will have the actuators embedded in the structure itself. So that will give again a clean surface and enormous reduction in drag and consequent fuel saving. Lot of carrier opportunities I feel there will be available in aircraft design related activity on this front. And this was on the technology I was talking. When we speak about the operational improvements, certainly we have to look into the areas as far as where we can have the fuel saving. See, we have the alternate aircraft taxi solutions available wherein we can have the fuel saving. That is TaxiBot is there. Then we have the wheel tug, and then the powering the main landing gears during the taxi. Although the wheel tug and powering main landing gear, it will add to the weight. But TaxiBot is a proven solution. It is already available in India. Delhi, it is being used for the taxi of aircraft taxi of 737s. Chennai or Hyderabad also they have one. So it is a good source of the fuel saving. Then coming down to the aircraft polishing, it is proven that in case the aircraft flies with medium to high dirt attached to the aircraft, your fuel burn increases as low as 11 kgs per hour to 42 kgs per hour. Right now, the aircraft cleaning, you must have seen, it is being done manually. However, robotic equipment is available, which gives quite a clean aircraft finish, and which can sustain the aircraft clean surface for 45 days, and tremendous reduction in the aircraft drag and consequent fuel savings. Then we have on the operational improvement, we have dry ice technology, dry ice engine core wash. So these are the technologies on the sustainable aviation front, and definitely once these are in the short term future, when they are going to be implemented not only world over but in India, we will have lot of career opportunity in this regard. Another area where I see the career opportunity in immediate future is the MRO, that is maintenance, repair and overhaul. We have been talking all these years. I want to clear the misconception here of all the panelists that the aircraft of the scheduled carriers, they are going abroad for the base maintenance rather than being done in India, and the taxation structure is very high. That leads to aircraft operators to fly their aircraft to SAARC countries or maybe Southeast Asia for the base maintenance of the aircraft. I think there is a misconception. I must clear that. One of the main reasons for this was that our MRO market was not matured for the narrow body aircraft. And second issue was pertaining to sales and leaseback principle. That I will come to that later. To set up, coming down to the MRO, to set up a narrow body MRO, critical number of checks required for its break-even is about 60 C checks per annum. Then only a standalone MRO can break even. As these checks, what I have told, these C checks, they normally fall during 2 years. After 2 years, the MRO will look for an airline which has 120 aircraft of the same type or variant. So which was not the situation in India a few years back. Now Indian market has now matured with sizable order of Indigo and Go Air for A320 aircraft. With market size now available, the standalone MRO is now coming up in SEZ at Nagpur, which will be doing the base maintenance for A320 aircraft in collaboration with the largest MRO of USA, which is AAR. So why the JV collaboration? I am coming to the second point which I discussed, sales and leaseback. When the lessors take back the aircraft, they want in the same condition, and also they have laid down the condition it should be the last check should be done at a EASA or FAA approved facility. So once the company has a JV, they in all likelihood it is easy for them to get a EASA and FAA approval. So this facility what I have spoke, it was likely to start in September somewhere. It may get delayed for 1 or 2 months, but this MRO, once it comes up, and future MROs also, there will be lot of scope for the young generation in their career build up in MRO. With this background, I would like to conclude and that career opportunities are available in aviation. One needs to look for an area of his or interest. I am not touching upon the career as far as pilot is concerned. Reason being, market situation is very dynamic at this stage, and there are a lot of cadet programs are going on. Airline cadet programs are going on. And with the backup of Jet Airways, airlines have inducted Jet Air pilot, and they are also undergoing the type conversion. So, since as you have gone through the mandate of government that airlines will be starting with 1/3 of their capacity for the 3 months, during which period government review the pandemic condition and the guidelines issued by the government with regard to social distancing, personal hygiene, everything, wherein they would like to increase. So I do not foresee that we will come back to the same level where the operations were stopped. When the operations were stopped, we were operating with 600 plus aircraft. And I do not foresee that situation even by mid 21. So that will be a bottleneck as far as the career of pilots is concerned. I foresee the career of pilots in airlines only after maybe June or September 2021. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for so much information on the opportunities related to airframe, aircraft design, MROs, etc. Sir, I'll come back to you, sir. We'll move on to the next panelist. I'm glad to introduce Mr. Amit Pathak, sir. He is a bachelor. He holds a bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering, and also an MBA from Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. Currently, he is the general manager and site leader for Pratt & Whitney customer training operations in the region covering South Asia and Middle East. He is also the industry co-chair for the US-India Aviation Corporation Program, ACP, and skill development subcommittees. Mr. Amit also derives the aviation skill development initiatives at Pratt & Whitney aimed at creating a skilled pool of industry-related talents to support the growth of aviation industry in India. He has started as his career in Honeywell as an avionics engineer and rose up holding various positions in the companies and the various countries like India, Europe, and the US. We are glad to have you here, sir, in this beautiful occasion. I'd love to hear from you, sir. Please. Yes, sir, your screen is visible.
So you can go ahead. Amit Pathak, sir, you can.
Yes, sir, you can. Sir, can you hear us, sir? Hello.
Yeah, please proceed. We can hear you.
I think he has some problem with the mic, sir. Sir,
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Audible and clear.
Okay. So I'll keep my comments brief. I know I have some network connectivity issues. I want to thank Hindustan College for inviting me, and I recognize there are some very learned luminaries on the phone as well. Joint DG Lalit Gupta ji and AK Singh Saab, Captain Bharadwaj. So it's a pleasure to be on a panel and helping young graduates to make sense of how the market is going and what they can look forward to. So I'll start by saying that there is these are unprecedented times for the aerospace industry, for the entire sector, and there is enough negative news out there. 16,000 aircrafts grounded, or US travel dropped by 95%, and all of those things. Series of airlines filing for bankruptcies, global majors announcing furloughs and cost-cutting measures, and so on. So all that is there, but I think what's more important for academic world and students to focus on the positive side of the story that needs to be told, because this is very important. And I want to give a few examples. So if you look at just our own history, Pratt & Whitney, we started around 1924, 1925, and if you look at the major world events that have happened, and the aviation sector has actually weathered all those. So we've gone through a world war. We've seen the worst economic situation, which is called as the Great Depression. The aviation sector has gone through other epidemics like SARS in the past. We've seen several economic downturns, recessions, whatever you want to call it, 2008 and several before, and the industry has survived. So that should be very reassuring for students. I also want to remind everyone that people, no matter what happens, and these are things that will keep happening, but people will still need to fly. People will still want to see the pyramids, in real. People would still want to go see Statue of Liberty or Taj Mahal or whatever you want to call it. People will still do business travel, although experts are saying more Zoom and more WebEx calls like one we are having right now. But the reality is that business is still done through relationships, and there will still be a lot of business travel. So to all those people who think that this could change the industry upside down, I don't think so. I think this is something, yes, it will push us down by several years. Experts are giving different kinds of predictions. Some are saying things will be back to normal to 2019 levels only in 2023. But then and also there is a talk about the industry being much smaller than what it used to be. But even with all that, the industry will come back. I think it is only a matter of time that the vaccine gets found, and large populations start getting vaccinated, and the confidence will come back. Already the government of India has announced some flights to start resuming in service very shortly, and China has started flying significantly. Lalitji also pointed out some numbers there. I think all those are very reassuring. In terms of how students should look at the future, I thought there are a few essential points that we must talk about. I think for us, as we look at now Raytheon Technologies and Pratt & Whitney, our number one priority remains to be the safety of our people. And as industries around the world, including different parts of the aerospace value stream, they return to work, our number one priority is making sure that our people are safe, they feel safe, they stay safe. So that is one. And then the next thing that now increasingly people will start looking at is high productivity, achieving high levels of efficiency, and then all the tools and techniques that would come in handy there. You're also observing, if you look at all these aerospace organizations, the multinationals especially that have presence in India, a lot of our people are actually working from home. And it's interesting because if a few years ago somebody would have said, can a majority of your staff actually work from home? People would have said, we are not sure. But now, what we are realizing is actually we can. A lot of our people can actually work from home. So this is an interesting trend. We have to see how this rolls out. But going forward, we will be leveraging technology in a big way. I want to also point out that as a customer training organization, we've already embraced work from home in a big way. We are now doing a lot of online trainings. We are working with EASA, as well as we are in touch with DGCA to look at how we can do some of the some parts of the approved course also, whatever can be done online. And there are very good positive support from the regulators also. So we are very thankful to the regulators for this. I already mentioned the airline industry is going to be much smaller. So it will be interesting to see, all the dynamics already out there. Lalitji very beautifully pointed out, and we have to be, we have to observe, how the airlines, continue to operate. I think the other piece that I want to highlight for the benefit of the students is that
Amit, I would like to intervene in between what you mentioned regarding the distance learning training. Yesterday, DGC has already issued the comprehensive guidelines in that para 9 states that operators not having an approved distant learning program for flight crew and maintenance personnel are encouraged to develop the same. So it is already, they have issued the circular on this regard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for pointing out, and we are very thankful, sir. Thank you. So I just going back to the point I was mentioning. So I want to point out to the students that top talent would always have opportunities. So irrespective of how bad things become, it would be good to focus on quality training, quality education. So I just want to make sure that everybody keeps that in the right center front. Also remember, and I want to remind everyone that India's basic growth story is still intact. Our core, strengths, the demographics of the country, the number of, working level population that we have. This is the beauty of India. That is all intact. And the moment the industry starts resuming operations, we will start seeing benefits of that, benefits of being a democracy, that we can bring and grow these industries. The availability of top quality talent, the top universities that we have across the country, and the number of aerospace talent that we are creating, all these are our strengths and they are still intact. The other piece I want to point out is digital technology. So this is an area where across Pratt & Whitney, UTC, and now Raytheon, we are focusing on digital technologies. We are looking at how we can leverage more digital technologies to make our processes more efficient. And I'll come to it in a few seconds, when I talk about innovation. The next point I want to bring up is there is a strong presence in India of almost all the global OEMs. You talk about the big names, Airbus, Boeing, UTC, Pratt & Whitney. We all have big presence in India. In most cases, we have our engineering presence, like, now Raytheon Technologies has an engineering center in Bangalore. We have almost 3,000 people there. We have several centers in Hyderabad. I run the customer training organization. We have a manufacturing setup where we are manufacturing aerospace components and systems. So all this is all there. And, this is only going to grow. The reason the company established these kind of facilities in India, the underlying reasons are all still very much valid. We still remain the location where we can easily source talent, top quality talent. India still remains a very, very cost competitive market. So I want to just share all those things with students so that they feel that, these basics are still very, very strongly grounded and still there. The one of the last pieces I want to point out is innovation. And I'll take an example of, Telangana. But before that, I want to give actually a fact. And the fact is, if you look around the world, most of the startups are actually incubated in recessions. So all those students who are listening to this and who are having entrepreneurial, ambitions, who want to be an entrepreneur, I want to encourage you, just go back and look in history. This is the best time to go and, start setting up your companies. If you have a good idea that you think has market potential, work with, startup accelerators. And I want to give a specific example, and I'll, probably summarize after that. We have a relationship with a startup accelerator in the city of Hyderabad. It is called as T-Hub, for those of you who are familiar. And we recently launched a grand challenge with them. Now, what was the grand challenge? In the aviation world, we also happen to be, Pratt & Whitney also happens to be the 5th largest leasing company in the world, apart from also manufacturing engines. And one of the problems we have with these leased engine assets, when they come back, to us, we have to do inspections to make sure that no parts are missing and so on. And that is a very, very manual process at the moment. And, it takes a lot of time. And, in aviation, time is money. And if we lose time, then we lose a lot of cash. If we can turn around this process at a much faster pace, then, we can make substantial savings. And this is where, we launched this grand challenge with T-Hub. All the startups around the world were, working with India, an Indian startup accelerator. And we got a very good, participation. And now we are in the final stages where we are actually almost close to announcing the winner. Now, these are opportunities that young kids can look forward to. Okay, it's not only about looking for jobs and going. For those who want to, sure, please do. But for those who have the knack of being an entrepreneur, look at these opportunities. These are all out there. Now we are handling this problem that I just talked about through artificial intelligence. We are using data analytics and artificial intelligence to automate inspection process. And and this is the initial challenge. We have to see the technology will develop much more. But I just wanted to share this experience and how much we have learned as a company, how this kind of a model can be used to source new technologies. The last point I want to mention is the job market, because I know a lot of kids are looking to go for jobs after this. It's likely to remain tough, no question about it. It's going to be tough through 2020 and also 2021. But like I mentioned earlier, quality talent, there is always opportunities. The other piece is, India and the top talent and availability of low cost delivery will win the battle for us, for all of us in India. The third piece and the final piece, and with this I'll close, for those of you who are looking to go for higher education, this can be a good time. This can be a good time to go for higher studies, because you go spend a few years and sharpen your skills further, and by the time you come back, the industry will be again towards an upturn. So with this, I'll put a stop to my piece here. I'm happy to answer any questions now or towards the end of the session. Thank you very much, and it has been a pleasure speaking to all of you.
Thank you, sir. There are so many questions regarding the job opportunities. We'll take the questions later after completing another two panelist speeches. I'll quickly move on to the next panelist, Mr. Suresh Kumar Singh. He is the Honorary Treasurer of AESI, Aeronautical Society of India, and former Director Engineering, DGCA. He holds a Bachelor of Aeronautical Engineering degree, graduated in year 1989, and he also continued his course on computer-aided design at Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has more than 26 years of aviation experience working with the Directorate of General Civil Aviation and Center for Airborne Systems and National Aerospace Laboratory. He presently identifies the training needs and organizing training for DGCA officers at IAA. His functions includes various interesting areas like type certification, type validation, acceptance of aircraft and engines, approval of flight schedules, etc. He has worked in airborne systems, DRDO Bangalore, on operation and maintenance of Pushpak and Avro aircrafts, flight testing on data analysis for modification approval of Avro military aircraft, and in National Aerospace Laboratory, Bangalore. He has worked on stability parameters, estimation of free, semi-free flying models using dynamic wind tunnel simulations, etc. For particularly for HANSA and LCA aircraft models. It's pleasure to have you here, sir. Please give your valuable notes.
First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Ashokan and ASI Chennai branch for inviting me to this platform. And with regard to aviation sector, Dr. Lalit Gupta has already given a detailed background about the present situation. I will not like to touch those aspects. I will like to share my knowledge on air transport. As I can see from IATA economic chart, the recovery from this pandemic is expected somewhere by 2023 to come back to 2019 levels. That too, it depends on many factors. It will depend on the duration and magnitude of outbreak, effective containment measures, availability of government assistance, consumer confidence, economic condition of industry. As it has started to operate only 1/3 of the capacity, definitely short range travel will be encouraged more, looking at the limitations of flight travel, like there is no food supplied during the flight. So definitely the short travel is going to be encouraged more than the long range travel. And international travel, mostly if some country puts quarantine, then definitely passengers are not going to like to travel. Therefore, only short distance travel will be more than the longer distance travel, unless there is some effective control measure for this pandemic. As far as we see the closure of air transport sector, another side we can see there is a lot of drone operations started during this period for surveillance, for other spraying, and mostly for surveillance purpose. So this is one aspect where aviation student can look forward. This is a upcoming area where drone operation can be effectively utilized in survey, agricultural, and other short distances measures. So drone, in my opinion, offers some area, upcoming area, where student can look for design, operation, and as a faculty also. So this is one area which has taken place during this closed down period. And opportunity sector, it in India, it has two levels. One is government sector, another is private sector. If we see government sector, it's mostly defense sector like HAL, DRDO. They are not much affected. Effect is there only maybe for a little period. Whereas recovery in air transport sector, civil air transport sector, it will largely depend on the economic condition, economic recovery condition. Even in earlier slowdowns, the closure of a few airlines, and after some time, it is seen that more airlines were added, more capacity were added. If I see the passenger growth data from 2014 to 2018, it was in double digit. Only during 2019, I can see a single digit growth, maybe because of closure of Jet Airways during 2019. And as Dr. Lalit Gupta has already explained, the aircraft was acquired by other airline. Their staff were also absorbed in. So the impact was not that severe, and slowly it could have regained during 2020 had not this pandemic occurred. So during, as Mr. Pathak also explained, this is a time to groom the skills. During the slowdown period, student can look for some soft skill grooming, which can be helpful for them when the industry opens up for recruitment. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the wonderful words. We'll move on to the next panelist, Captain Kuldeep Singh Bharadwaj, sir. Wing Commander Kuldeep Singh Bharadwaj, sir, was commissioned as fighter pilot on 28 December 1977. He has held the appointment of Deputy Flight Commander of MiG-27 Squadron. He served Indian Air Force for more than 35 years as a pilot, fighter pilot, and he has been in civil flight training since last 7 years and has in-depth knowledge on civil and military aviation. He has flying experience of more than 7,200 hours on military fighters and trainers and civil flying trainer aircraft. He was a chief flight instructor in CAE National Flying Training Institute for 4 years. For exceptional devotion to the duty, the President of India has awarded Vayu Sena Medal to Wing Commander Kuldeep Singh Bharadwaj, sir. Congratulations, sir. We are proud of you. Now he is the current chief flying instructor at our Orient Flight Aviation Academy, Mysore, since June 19. Yes, sir. Ashokan, sir, you want to add something?
I just want to say, sir is actually Air Commodore. He's retired as Air Commodore. That just I want to correct it. I think you have not taken the things.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. I think it is honor to tell that rank. I thank if it is something is missed it out. So just I want to correct, nothing else, please.
Thank you so much for the introduction, sir. Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. And at the outset, I would like to thank the Hindustan Group, the Managing Director, Dr. Anand Verghese, Dr. Ashokan, and the co-panelists, very, very esteemed co-panelists, Dr. Lalit Gupta, Mr. Amit Pathak, and Mr. S.K. Singh. In fact, I will not be wrong to say that all of them have made my task a little simpler by, covering various backgrounds and the effects, the growth of aviation in our country, the highs and lows of the aviation sector, and thereafter this unfortunate pandemic, COVID-19, which has hit us. Though there was a warning, if you recall, all of you, that whenever there is a pandemic on the horizon, there are some telltale signs which we can, pick up and take preventive measures and actions. If during the tsunami, though there was not any advanced systems which were available to forecast the vagaries of and the enormity of that hazard which hit us, but there was ample warning for the countries like us down till the coast. We could have taken some precautions to minimize the havoc which we suffered. Similarly, when the pandemic, that is COVID-19, was just knocking on the door of the world or the humanity, you all know what the background is and how the actions which could have been initiated were not done, and its impact was not, the severity was not visualized as it has unfolded, and the situation which we have all landed up. And it has affected the world across, not only the aviation, but it has affected the humanity at large, all aspects of humanity at large. And our total outlook towards life is going to have a major change. Our lifestyles for a few years till the time we find some solution to remedy this disease and the threat, which you never know. It could be like a miracle. We get a vaccine in a short period of time, and the things start looking back, and we can go back to the the old normal. But for the time being, we will have to take into consideration the new normal which we are going to unfold, how it is going to impact our careers, how it is going to affect our lifestyle. So that is what we will generally delve upon. Frankly speaking, whenever we face an emergency, the first thing is shock and awe, or there is panic. Now, our capability to absorb that panic and react to a emergency depends upon our capability and how we have prepared ourselves in advance. So, in the aviation parlance, whenever they say, whenever you are faced with an emergency, first thumb rule is do not panic. And then keep calm and take actions in a laid down sequence given as per the SOP or your checklists, and involve the CRM, that is your crew resource management. So here also now we have to garner all our resources to get back to the old normal and taper off the new normal, which we will have to go through for at least 5 to 6 months, or maybe a year, or maybe 1.5 years. So this depends upon our R&D to in the pharma sector to come out with a vaccine, and then how we vaccinate the entire humanity, and then try to live back to the normal and then to the old normal where there were no restrictions. So that is how I foresee that the aviation world is going to be impacted. It's not only the aviation world. If you see across the world, all the other sectors are affected, and the jobs have taken a big hit, almost up to 30 to 40%. If you see it everyday news, the media is so live these days and vibrant that you see about 40%, 35 to 40% unemployment applications are there in United States of America. And then it is the capacity and the financial health of a nation to to provide the financial injection or financial punch to these people to survive. In the last 1 decade, our country has improved its financial health very considerably, and as a result, you've seen that there has been a very high amount of financial help which has been extended by the government to all the MSMEs to sustain a little bit. As regard aviation sector, Lalit sir already covered that, and SK sir and Mr. Amit also covered that our capacity to launch the aeroplanes is going to reduce to almost 50%, because the aviation sector is a very financially heavy sector. We started initially with 1 to 2 aviation companies with the open sky policies, and thereafter the formula of low cost carriers, low frills carriers. Initially they made a buck, a little profitability, but then the operating costs being so high, they couldn't sustain and they had to pack their bags and go. So, however, depending upon the government policy, which are, maybe people say that it is still not the operator friendly in our country as far as the aviation is concerned, and that's why they have not been able to, get into a good financial health. They are just, sustaining no profit, no loss, or running into losses. That's how the Kingfisher also packed up, and the Jet Airways in the last year, they packed up. So these legacy airlines now, they're all back to the high operating costs. And when the capacity is going to reduce, then the traveling costs are going to be higher. And initially, if the cut is there on the across the aviation jobs, like your cabin, cockpit crew, cabin crew, ground support staff, security, aeronautical engineering, hospitality, tours and travel, operations, and maintenance related jobs, they are all going to take a hit and they are going to come down drastically. But yes, it is a matter of time, because people have to sustain and they also have their basic needs to be looked after. So what do we do in this time? As suggested by Mr. Amit Pathak and Dr. S.K. Singh, that you try to hold yourself in this phase and go in for a higher education if it is possible. And as and when the things improve, you get back and you will have better prospects, not only in the aviation career, but the higher education which you have already, gained. Thereafter, I will come to the aviation job specific. The choice of a career for an individual in life is a biggest milestone. You have to make a choice at the right time, and thereafter, once you have decided, you are now going in for that particular education for that profession, and then you are stuck to that profession. So all of you who have decided to join aviation as a career, you have now some time to ponder over it and do not panic. I am of the opinion that the things will stabilize, maybe a year at the maximum, and then they will start getting back to the old normal slowly. The only thing is that we will be curtailed because of the social distancing, and we have to protect ourselves. The main thing in this pandemic is an individual has to discipline himself and they have to protect themselves. If everybody contributes in this, I am sure we will be able to defeat this till the time the vaccine is invented, and then we'll get back to normal. So in the meantime, we'll have to learn to live with this situation. We have now evolved our SOPs. We should follow those SOPs meticulously and take personal hygiene precautions, not for individual, and then ensure that our colleagues, our families, our all members across society, wherever possible, we try to educate them to abide by these rules, regulations, and remain safe. Flying training institutions have commenced flying as of day before yesterday. So the flying training per se in India will get back to normal quickly. But now the other factor which will impact the choice of career as a pilot in the aviation is that if people feel that they are not going to get a job because it is a very the high cost career. Initially, you have to invest to the tune of what, 80 lakhs to 1 crore to get your CPL, and thereafter, when the boom was there as late as January this year, the choice of career as a pilot was very good. But now the fear is there. Wait for how long and whether to invest this much heavily in this career or to go in for the alternate choice of career. So what I would advise to all those budding aviators is that please do not panic. The flying training institutes, flying training organizations in the country are in good health, and go in for the choice of a pilot career. And by the time you get your CPL, things will be looking up, because you will require about 1 to 1.5 years to get your licenses, and by that time, even the experienced pilots of ex-Jet Airways or Kingfisher and the junior pilots, the cadets program which are going on by the Indigo and Jet Airways and all. So they will all slowly start getting back into circulation, and your opportunity to join these aviation lines, airlines will be that much better, and improvement will be there. However, now what is the sustainability of these aviation airlines during this period? I foresee is that if the government has extended a financial package to the MSMEs, perhaps like on the lines of USA, they have also tried to bail out their airlines by injecting a couple of $1 million into aviation sector, and perhaps that has to be deliberated whether our airlines can also be given some liberal operating environment in the terms of waiving off of the landing and parking charges. You see, aircraft which is not flying is equally incurring revenue loss, in the term that quite a few of airlines, they've got their aeroplanes on lease, and the aircraft on ground is not being utilized, so you have to pay the lease money. And similarly, the day-to-day maintenance, whether it's a daily or it is a parked aircraft maintenance or it is a storage maintenance of the aircraft, that expenditure is there, and you have to retain that essential bare minimum manpower to look after these aeroplanes and look after the infrastructure. So perhaps I am of the opinion that the government of India may have to liberalize a lot of these taxes for the airlines to make it slightly more pocket friendly for the passengers. And like on the terms of UDAN, what is happening? They are having subsidized ticketing, and up to about 60-70% is subsidized, and then 40% is left to the airlines to do the free ticketing, repricing. So somehow our experienced professionals, the bureaucrats and the policymakers, who are the subject matter experts, may have to sit down and do a deliberation on how to bail ourselves out from this situation so that the impact on the airlines is minimized. Apart from the other associated jobs which are there, like cabin crew, ground staff, and aeronautical engineering, the Hindustan group of institutions has got the all types of trading going on, and I would advise all these students that please do not feel demoralized at the present. Keep your morale up, and you will all sail through this low and get into the high slowly, gradually. We do not foresee a situation like wherever they say that slow haste. So we have to make a slow haste kind of a situation where we will gradually get into our first normal and then back to the old normal. So with this, I would like to conclude. And the associated jobs like the MROs coming up in India, plus the technology related job. The other, my personal opinion is that the air travel is going to become a little costlier. So there will be a less attraction for the holidays, for the travel, tourism. But what is going to happen is that the business houses and the corporate sectors, they are going to get their private jets also. So that is another area which is going to open up. If you all know that across the world, in US, there are thousands of private aircraft which are operating. Almost every family has got a private owned aircraft. So maybe in India, we also slowly start heading towards that. If we have to, avoid this, these restrictions because of the pandemic, and slowly we have to reconcile to the future in the backdrop of this the COVID. So with this, I would like to conclude and thank once again all the panelists and the management. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. There are some questions in various areas. I'll just go on with the order of the students who have asked it. The first question was related to masters. Which masters is suitable to get a job? And there was other question related to masters. The student has expressed that the aviation industries are looking for experienced candidates and masters. Those have completed masters. So this was the question related to master's degrees. I request any of the panelists to answer this.
In absence of anybody else answering, I can take that on. And my response to that would be that instead of asking a question, I'll flip that question around. Don't look for a job. Look for what you really enjoy doing. Now, aerospace is a very vast sector. It's like an ocean. As Captain Bharadwaj was also alluding to, so many different areas where one can find careers. So I would say the student should look at what is it, and if they've spent a few years, studying at a bachelor's program or a master's program, they have a fair idea of what the nature of work involves. So what they need to find out is what is it that really, catches their imagination, and focus on going forward in that area. It is much more likely for you to be successful if you go and do higher studies in an area that you enjoy. So I'll leave it at that and just say that there is a term in Japanese called ikigai, I-K-I-G-A-I. Go Google that at home whenever you get some time. And that will give you more pointers on how to choose what to go and work for in future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the next question is related to MRO. MRO is there in Mumbai. Is it functional? And regarding other question related to MRO is Honorable Finance Minister has announced that 2,000 crores will be invested in next 3 years. In this situation, ongoing conditions, so is there any possibilities in those areas?
I will answer this question. Number one, the MRO at Mumbai. We have 2 MROs in Mumbai which deals with the servicing of aircraft and engines. One is the Air India MRO, that is functional, and another one is Indemar Aviation, which is doing the maintenance for corporate jets. That is also operational. With regard to the Honorable Finance Minister's statement, I would not like to comment, but I can say that financial figures I won't be able to comment, but I will say that yes, there will be tremendous job opportunities once the MRO, what I told for narrow body, which is coming up at Nagpur. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I will add to that. I
Yes, sir.
completely agree with the comments just made. And I just want to say that Pratt & Whitney is now also working with Air India MRO in Mumbai. We see huge opportunities for India in the MRO sector. We have just scratched the surface. Initially, there used to be tax-related some hurdles which were making it unprofitable for companies to invest in MRO. Those have gone away. So I'm very pleased that the finance minister alluded to that. I think MRO is a great future for India, especially because if you think about it, just the sheer number of new aircrafts that are going to come in. All this COVID and all will go away in a few years, and the growth story is pretty much intact for India. So it's only a matter of time that India really does big in MRO. So I'm very bullish on MRO. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. There is the other question regarding jobs. I think many of the questions are related to jobs. A student from first year, he is asking a question of after 3 years, will the market be okay? If everything will settle down, is it possible for me to get the job? That was Venkatesh's question. I request any of the panelists to. He is in first year and he is looking for the 3 years after what will be his position, or will be the industry.
Which course, if I may ask, first year?
Sir, he is doing aviation, first year aviation. I think he is into engineering, sir.
Aeronautical engineering or something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned earlier, I would say, 3 years from now, the industry would have recovered. It would be on an uptick. The opportunities should be there. Even between that, I'm quite positive that the vaccine will be found in a matter of 6 to 8 months. We are closely tracking it. We are very positive that as soon as the vaccine is out and certain populations start getting vaccinated, the confidence level will come up drastically and the industry will be back on a growth path. And so there is no need to be pessimistic for those of kids who are already registered in the first year program. I would say, don't get blown away by the doomsday scenarios painted by our media. Somehow our media does a very good job of scaring people. Please don't get blown away with all that. Humans have a tremendous ability to adapt. Believe in the power of the human ability to adapt. Believe in, a great India growth story ahead. And I'm sure you will have very good opportunities. Right now, the best thing you can do is focus on your studies, do the best you can, learn as much as possible, get the right experience, do as much hands-on as you can. Take advantage of this particular scenario. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There was other question regarding the robots used in maintenance. He is more concerned about how the technicians will they lose job.
I will answer this question.
Yes,
I did mention regarding that aircraft polishing, that robotic arm being used for the aircraft polishing. It is nothing to do with the regular maintenance done by the aircraft engineers. Because while the aircraft is cleaned during night, the cleaning is done only on the lower surface. Nobody goes to the tail side of the aircraft and aircraft top surface, which is done by this robotic arm. So it is nothing to do with the job opportunities as far as the aircraft maintenance engineers are concerned. They will be very well available for that. It is just a added tool for better upkeep of the aircraft surface. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There are a couple of questions regarding the placement. Some students have got placed in some companies. I don't want to mention the name. and they have rejected the offer, and some students are worried about how the industry will be if they stop hiring. What as a fresher, what they are supposed to do?
So I can answer that to some extent. So look, I completely empathize with anyone whose job offer has been deferred or withdrawn. It can be tremendously stressful for those candidates and also their families to some extent. But I want to say a few things. People should not see this as something that they contributed to. This is a global phenomena. Let's remember that. This is happening globally. No country is immune to the current corona crisis. As a matter of fact, India has actually done quite well as compared to a lot of other countries. Now, as a fallout of corona situation, aviation sector and the other hospitality industries are taking a hit. No kid should take it on himself that it is something that he is responsible for. And I'm sure even those kids who are losing jobs right now, they will find something good to work at. Now there are a couple of things they can do. One, obviously, work with the industry, with their networks, and look for other opportunities that are out there. Very difficult because most of the companies have hiring freezes and so on. The other thing, like I alluded to earlier, is look at higher studies. That can be a good thing to do right now. The third piece I'll mention again is, a lot of startups are now looking at aviation sector. There are a lot of things in the aerospace, whether it is maintenance, whether it is inspections and so on, where technology can help. And working with a number of startups in India, on artificial intelligence and so on, I've realized that a lot of these startups don't have any domain knowledge on aerospace sector. They have very little understanding of how aviation works and so on. So I want to encourage students to also look at being consultants, be an advisor to some of these startups. They will really value the kind of knowledge that you can bring to them. And then, with your knowledge of and perspectives on the industry, even if you are a fresher, but you know what an aircraft engine is, or what an airframe is, and so on. So bring this knowledge to these startups who can develop value-added solutions that can be beneficial for the industry. And these startups know, that if they start working on some of these solutions now, in the next 1.5, 2 years, they will have a solution. And by the time the industry will be on an uptick, and their solution will be a hot cake in the market. So see how you can, all these are different ways. There is no silver bullet, but I'm just trying to give you some ideas on how, you can deal with this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There are a couple of questions regarding the pilot. One question was regarding the future of pilot if the quarantine continues. The other question was by Ms. Fatima. Sir, is there any way to become a pilot completely based on merit or other scholarships after graduating from BE Aeronautical Engineering? If any, please let me know.
Okay, I will take on this question.
Yes, sir, please, sir.
Yes, there are social support schemes by various states which extend scholarship to the students based on merit. You have to go on the state welfare policies and apply for availing that scholarship facility. And the procedure for that is that you first visit the flying training organization of your choice and get a letter of intent that the vacancy is available to accommodate you as trainee. And thereafter, with that letter, you submit the application to the concerned state welfare department and apply for the scholarship. You will then we released scholarship in various installments, which will directly come to the FTO. So that is the facility. However, as far as the free flying training facility is concerned, it is not existing in any of the FTOs for the time being. I hope this answers the question. And
Yes.
yes. What is the other part of the question, sir?
Other part of the question was, what will be the future of pilot if the quarantine continues?
Yes, like I covered in my little talk. Please do not. You see, the same situation is applicable to any other carrier which you have, decided to go for. Right now, the situation is affecting all the other sectors, where most of the people are now starting to work from home, and the manpowers are being reduced to the bare minimum. But in aviation, it is equally applicable for the time being. Now, if you decide to go in for a choice of a carrier, you continue. You start your career. Like I told you, it will take about 1.5 years, or maybe 1 year. And the people who are now put on the hold, they will start getting absorbed back, and then slowly you will get into the stream for selection. It is equally applicable to the other jobs, so is applicable to the aviation sector also. So not to feel demoralized, and take a consensus decision to pursue your sort of a career which you like, because it's a passion. When you select a career, it's up to you, based on your aptitude, what kind of outlook you want, based on your basic needs, on the Maslow's principles of hierarchical needs, whether you like adventurous career, you like a glamorous career. Aviation career is a very, very challenging profession. And if you have decided to go in for that, please pursue it. And you will definitely succeed. So all the best.
Thank you, sir. There is other question regarding the MRO by Mr. Kripakar. Does MRO require license from DGCA? I think he means the student who is getting into the job.
Yeah,
If there could be a if there could be a BE graduate attaining a license without, is there any possibility to get license without any practical experience?
No, the question is in two parts. Number one, the MRO does require license from DGC under CAR 145, that is Civil Aviation Requirement 145, which is fully aligned with IASA 145. And there is no way you can get the license without practical experience. License on type, I am talking. You
Thank you,
have
sir.
to have the practical experience on type of aircraft for the license.
Thank you, sir. And the next question was, during the next 2 years, would there be any demand for new aircraft maintenance technicians, or would be the airlines be operating with the current staffs? And there is other question related to it is aviation industry is going to face increase in number of recruitment as soon as the industry resumes. Which sector of aviation industry is going to have more recruitment as on the industry resumes?
So I can, just to provide some answer, because somebody has asked a question. I can't claim to be the expert on both those questions, but I have to say that it is going to be a tough market for the next 2 years. No question about it. But also bear in mind all the, the positive things I told you. The other piece I think I didn't touch upon earlier is, a lot of people may not realize, but there are a lot of cargo aircrafts that are flying globally and in India also. And if you look at Honorable Minister's Twitter handle, every day he publishes how much additional cargo has been transported, on a daily basis, which is huge. So it's not like the complete civil aviation infrastructure has come to a standstill. please bear in mind that cargo has been flying even through the worst times. And aviation is, has a bright future. I already mentioned to you that once this problem is behind us, the overall fundamentals of growth for India and the civil aviation sector growth in India is going to be strong. And people have to believe that, students have to keep their beliefs, and because nothing has changed, believe me. Anyone tell me one thing that has changed in the fundamentals for the growth of civil aviation in India? And as an OEM, and as someone who is also on the chair for the US-India Aviation Cooperation Program, I think I can speak for at least a majority of the global OEMs also. We all feel very strongly about the potential for India and the potential for aviation growth in India. I would not get worried about these short-term blips. In fact, that's something we have to, take in our stride. There are many ways to address that. We've talked about it, higher education and other ways, whatever else you can do. But believe in the long-term story is all I can say.
Thank you, sir.
Maybe
That answers the other question by another student of Sharwani from Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science. Her question was, what is the scope of aviation students in cargo sector? I think you have just answered.
Sir, I think,
Yes. Yes, sir.
I think Lalit sir, if you are available, maybe in seeing the market, this BTech or B students who are there along with AME and pilot training. See, now the manufacturing industry is slowed down because these students will like to go into the design and technology like IoT, artificial intelligence, or drones. I'd like request you to give some inputs, you and Mr. A.K. Singh sir, if possible, on this.
For BTech students, for pilots and engineers.
Engineers mainly on design aspect and the core areas. Like they go into design, manufacturing, and other things. Seeing the current situation, the BTech engineers or the masters or the PhD engineers, those are in research.
Dr. Sokan, as far as airline perspective is concerned, the aircraft maintenance engineers, if case you are talking, for every one aircraft, they have to have a total number of 10 aircraft engineers, including technician working on the aircraft. So it all depends upon the aircraft deliveries. The more number of aircraft we have, the airline inducts, that way only the proportion of these engineers and technicians will increase. So we will have to wait and watch, because right now the situation was going on very well, that airlines were inducting the aircraft. Now that is going to, there will be little stop at this stage, reason being that there should be a demand also for passengers. So which is likely to increase, maybe that's what I said, by definitely by second or third quarter of 2021, we will have the demand. Right now, whatsoever aircraft airlines will be getting, they will be getting in terms of the replacement only, replacement of the old aircraft. Plus, you already know that there is a grounded fleet of 737 MAX also. So unless until that also gets certified and goes up in the air, so there will be a less demand as far as aircraft maintenance engineers and technicians are concerned in the airline.
One more, sir. S.K. Singh sir, is either you or S.K. Singh sir can take. This is regarding the drones. You told that operations. How it will be the drone operations or demand for the drones operators and the employability in terms of drone manufacturing and operations.
Sir, as I can see nowadays, drones designed by IIT Kanpur was doing a surveillance function at Kanpur and Lucknow. So, and further there is a demand I can say from agriculture sector, like pesticide spraying and survey, agricultural field survey. So there is a lot of scope in manufacturing of design development of a drone, operation of drone, and marketing of drone. In that aspect, I can see there is a future for these areas.
SK, I would like to have here, you have indicated the areas in which drones can be used, but real use of drones will commence only when there is a regulatory changes also. See, we issued the regulations in 2018, keeping in mind that industry will take off, but there were certain parameters embedded in the regulations which the operators are not able to comply, like no permission, no takeoff. That firmware which was supposed to go on the equipment, which the most of the operators, they are not able to comply with as of now also. So all such flyings, like what you have mentioned about agriculture day for yesterday, Ministry of Civil Aviation have given limited exemption for Gujarat and Rajasthan to for the agriculture ministry to take care of that locust storm which is happening there. So similarly, during this pandemic also, all these operations, what they are happening under the exemptions. So no operator will operate the drones under any time with the exemptions only. So they need regulatory reforms. So I think the second phase of regulations have been drafted. They will be going for public opinion shortly. So there are two things. Number one, some changes in the regulations, like natural disaster or emergency services, they should be permitted under the let the state governments take the responsibility for that, because first hour or first day is the golden period. In case we do not launch the drones operation, we will lose the vital evidences. And second thing is permitting the BV loss, that is beyond visual line of sight. So in case these two things happen, I think drone industry has a good scope in future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. There are some questions by Mr. Badri Narayanan. Sir, what kind of areas that an MBA aviation students and BBA aviation students should focus on when there is a higher degree automation in front offices, airports, and customer interface?
One of the area wherein this MBA students are getting their qualification world over, that is the Europe side. I have seen it is environmental management, MBA in environmental management to keep to take care of the sustainable aviation.
Yes. There is other question by AME student. Which will be better improvement in category B1 or B2 in coming future?
The category B1 is airframe and B2 is avionics, so both are equally good, no problem.
Thank you, sir. And there is other question by a mechanical student. He wished to know whether he can proceed with the aerospace industry jobs, and if MS is required, is it suggestible to do MS in foreign countries? Yes, sir.
See, as far as aircraft design is concerned, students from mechanical, electronics, and other
मम्मी का है?
Fields are also there in aircraft design field, not only aeronautical engineer. So there is a scope for like a mechanical system design. So it requires a mechanical engineer, structural analysis. This also can be done by mechanical engineer. So there is a scope for mechanical engineer as well as electrical electronics engineer in aircraft designs.
Thank you, sir. There is other question by another aviation student from second year. I want to be an investigation officer after my degree. What type of training I have to take, sir?
The question should be specific whether investigation office and air safety. Because in aviation we have the air safety wing which deals with the aircraft accident and serious incident investigation. So if it is so, he has to come through the UPSC and join DGCA air safety wing, and after his joining he will be given that recurrent training and induction training followed by recurrent training in various aspects of flight safety, including accident incident investigation.
Thank you, sir. The other question was, what are the special efforts to be taken by a student to cope up with post-COVID aviation world? I think most of that are answered by Mr. Amit Ji. If any other points, you can please add, sir. Most other questions are mostly answered in different format. The last question by Rajesh Kumar was the artificial intelligence implementation in aviation sector. Will it affect employment opportunities?
I can answer that. I don't think so. And I will allude to the same logic that people used to give when computers were first introduced. People said, well, these computers will take away the jobs of all the clerks and all the office staff. Look at it, 30 years down the line when the first computers started coming in our offices. So technology insertions, don't necessarily mean that somebody has to lose their job. In fact, time and again in history, if you see, the processes have actually become more efficient, I would say. We have been able to do a lot more work with some of these advanced technologies. And so I'm very bullish about artificial intelligence, AI, and some of these computer vision, especially. That is one area that I'm very close to, and we are working with a number of startups in India. They have immense scope in the sector, as we are realizing, and I encourage students to really focus on some of these technologies, know well about them, so that when they come in the industry and start working, they are familiar, and when they are put on projects where some of these technologies can be deployed, then they feel confident and come up with the good innovative solutions that can really help the corporations.
As I think we have had enough questions, we can. So Venkat, you can.
Yes, sir. I think the last question is, I think, by Mr. Noor Nasif. I'll finish with this question, sir. What is the procedure to get a job in Middle East while studying in DGCA norms? That will be the last question. I request anyone to answer. I think he is studying in DGCA norms, and will he be able to get jobs in Middle East countries? That was the question, sir.
The question is not clear. What does it mean by DGCA norms?
Yes, sir. I don't know. Okay.
Okay, Venkat, I think we can close. Go ahead with the order.
If you all allow me, I can put in a few more comments.
Yes, sir. Please, sir.
I just want to, throw it open to the audience. We have only focused on the civil aviation career jobs. Now, since you are all, going through training of the aviation related jobs, you should not confine your choice to the civil aviation. I think the military aviation has got enormous and equally challenging prospects for you all to have a choice of career. So I wonder whether people have given thought to this line also or not. So military jobs are not going to be hit now, aviation as far as the flying pilot jobs are concerned, the maintenance jobs are concerned, for the BE techs and BEs and AMEs. Now that the government is focusing on our Make in India policy, and you all have seen that more and more indigenization is on the horizon, and the private sector has been given a higher stake in the R&D. So the scope of choices in even the private sector, not only the military sector, the private sectors, aviation sectors are going to be, also increasing the choice of your aviation jobs. We have very good companies in India who are aviation related. We have Honeywell, we have got Rockwell Collins, HAL is there, Mahindra and Mahindra is there, L&T is there, Reliance is there. So they are all now waiting for the terms and conditions to be relaxed a little bit for the secrecy clause and the on that aspect, which are being made more user friendly for participation. And there is certainly going to be a increase in the lookout for the qualified people in the environment. So all of you should focus on that also. And military careers are, I think, quite equally lucrative and challenging, and you have a good lifestyle, and you should give a little thought towards choice of aviation career in the military profession. All those young pilots who get their CPL, they have got a choice to join the Coast Guard with the CPL. They can join the IAF with the CPL. And like I told you, there's a lot of private sectors are going to acquire small aeroplanes for their comfort for commuting. So this is another avenue which one should consider. And if anybody has got any questions related to how to apply for the military jobs, you are more than welcome to approach me, and you have my contact details. I kindly give it to them, sir. Students can contact me. We will take them on. There was another question which I was watching on the drop-down panel. One student had asked that I want to become an air traffic controller, though I am a AME in avionics. So there is for the civil air traffic controllers, we have the Civil Aviation Air Traffic Control Center at Allahabad, and there is the sub school at Management and Training Institute at Gondia under the AAI. So you have to apply for that, and you become an ATC controller under AAI. Otherwise, if you want to become an ATC controller, then you will have to fly the Air Force first, and then you get a choice to opt for ATC branch or the fighter controller branch, and there are various categories of that. Apart from that, the aviation related like meteorology is there, and all the aviation maintenance jobs are there in the Air Force. And now the cutting edge technologies are coming, modern technology. You have like drones we are talking about. you have a very vast scope of drones. I mean, the UAVs all over the world now. And I also feel that maybe there is a testing going on for developing UAVs of the F-16, old F-16 aircraft. All of you who have surfed through the media, the F-16 UAV was launched and they are used as the targets and for practicing the air-to-air combat, and then they can carry weapons. They have the state-of-the-art what do you call designators, the designator pods, lasers, and various IR weapons. So the UAVs, you all know these combat UAVs are there, and in the present scenario where all these terrorist people are pinpointed and knocked off without any collateral damage. So this is a challenging job. So all of you must take that into consideration.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. We'll go with Dr. K. Vijay Raja, Head of Department of Aeronautical Engineering, KCG College of Technology, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. I take this opportunity to propose vote of thanks to this webinar on future of aviation careers organized by our KCG College of Technology, Hindustan Group of Institution, in association with Aeronautical Society of India, Chennai branch. First, I would like to thanks to our Honorable Chairman, AESA Chennai branch, Dr. Anand Jacob Varkis, CEO and Director, Hindustan Group of Institution, for his motivation and support. My sincere thanks to our management for their continuous support. I thanks to all the panelists for their acceptance and come over through online and give their views. It was very nice webinar session. I hope all the participants and faculty may enjoy that one. That I'd like to thanks to Dr. Lalit Gupta sir, former director at DGCA. He has enlightened and shared their knowledge about that operational improvements in aviation field. Sir, you have mentioned about technically about the A380 and smart structure, fuel saving using that engines, and aircraft policy for dry engine cleaning during the sustainable time, and also focus about that MRO, maintenance, repair, overhauling, and about the pilot careers. And you have mentioned about the DGCA circular about online training for the crew members and others. Thank you, sir. And also thanks to Mr. Amit Pathak, General Manager and Site Leader, UTC Aerospace, Pratt & Whitney. So he was focused very enormously for the aviation field, and moreover, your support about the students' higher studies, also their job opportunity in the future. And you mentioned about that aviation time is money. If you lose the time, you lose the money. And moreover, job market in 20 and 21 and the quality talent will always support the future careers. And also I thanks to SK Singh, Director Engineering DGCA retired, and Treasurer AESA Delhi. Sir, you have given that short and long travel about air transportation, and also focus about the drone technology. So during the lockdown period, drone technology was very useful for the surveillance. I'm very proud to say our Hindustan Group also support the Tamil Nadu government and the police department during this lockdown period using the drones. And also I thanks to Captain Guldeep Singh Bhartwaj for his involvement and share his knowledge about the pilot training, about the financial improvement about in our country across the aviation field, and also yes, encouragement and his positive speech for the students and the faculty, and moreover, all the human being. Don't be panic. I hope all the people may enjoy it, and it may be very useful. Also, I thanks to Dr. Ashokan, Dr. Asad, and Mr. Venkat for the support. My sincere thanks to Dr. Devasundari, Associate Dean, KCC College of Technology, for his support, and all the faculty and participants all over the institution and all over the India. Thanks to all.